Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars and welcome to another PlayStation review. Today I'm reviewing Zerion 12 for the PlayStation 5. This is essentially a cheap and cheerful tower defense game with a sci-fi theme. Essentially you are, what story there is, and there isn't really a story here, to be fair. Earth has perished. We are trying to populate a new planet to, secure the survival of our species. However, this planet is populated by some monstrous beasties, and it is for us to kind of go from sector to sector and destroy these beasties so that we can live there. Why we'd ever want to live here, God only knows, because it doesn't seem a very pleasant place. Right, okay, this, as I've said, is cheap and cheerful. It's on a sale right now in the PlayStation Store. It's less than £10, I think it is now. I've always personally had a bit of a soft spot for tower defense games. I think they have got some of the most addictive gameplay loops. If it's a decent tower defense game, it can definitely hold your attention and concentration for a couple of hours at a time easily. Generally, tower defense games, you see many of them on mobiles, and this may well have been a mobile game. I don't actually know, if I'm honest, I haven't checked. But sometimes I just want to pop a game on and just, play for a couple of hours and not really worry too much about massive progression and, in-depth story. I just want to shoot some stuff. This is a very, very competent tower defense game. Nothing special. It is very bare bones in regards to, what you can do with it. Essentially, you turn the game on, you start the game, and you've got a number of sectors to work through. I can't remember how many. And as you can imagine, each sector gets increasingly difficult. You've got to essentially... There's like these pre-existing areas where you're allowed to kind of put your tower defences. And you've got as you could imagine with tower defense games, you've got loads of different towers that you can choose, but you've got limited resources in regards to cash. So you've got to kind of put up tower defenses that are going to suppress the enemy, kill the enemy before they get to your base and destroy it. And you can see the top right there. You've got like 500. If that gets down to 0, then your base falls, then you fail that sector. Now you can retry the sector anytime you want. You could be halfway through it, and there's 15 waves per sector. It could get higher when further down in the sectors you go, but I haven't checked that far yet. But if you're like about third or fourth wave in and you realise you've set your defences up poorly, you can just retry that sector again. It's not a problem. I did that numerous times with some of these sectors because I realised fairly quickly that I'd started it wrong, because the enemy will sometimes not take... There's a couple of different paths that they can take. You can put barriers up in some places to kind of block areas, but then they'll just avoid them, sort of thing. So you've got to be smart really with your defences. With the limited resources and money that you've got, you've got to kind of put the right defences up. And you've got like pulse cannons, which can be upgraded twice to make them more powerful. You've got armour blasting guns, got some of the creatures that come out, and it's very Starship Troopers like. Some of the creatures that come out have got like really heavy armour on, so you've got to kind of destroy the armour before you can kill these things. You've got like magnetic defences that slow some of the enemies down because they're very, very fast. You've got like bombers, you've got missiles, loads of different defensive options for you to kind of put up. Honestly, the most effective I've personally found are the pulse cannons upgraded to their highest max, and they can be really effective if you've got 2 or 3 of them kind of together. They just kind of bombard the enemies. But as you could imagine, as the game progresses and you go through the sectors, you've got to be a little bit smarter in how you're placing your defences, because you've also got flying enemies as well. to contend with, and sometimes you'll get flying enemies that will attack you, like drop like bombs on your defences. So if you don't repair them in time, and you've got a fully upgraded like pulse cannon, gets blown up, that's that money gone basically. You've got to start from scratch again on that place. So you've got flying enemies that can drop bombs on you, and you have also got other enemies that kind of walk round that can kind of spit bombs at you as well. So I think people that play a lot of tower defense games will probably get a bit of a kick out of this one. I mean, it actually looks quite pleasant as well, in the sense of, you know, it's not massively rough around the edges. You know, the alien creatures are quite creative in their design. The towers a little bit unimaginative in regards to what they look like, but the effects, the gun effects and all that kind of stuff are all pretty impressive. The sounds that they all make are very punchy, and you know, make the kind of sounds you would expect them to make. So while this is a fairly cheap and cheerful game, it doesn't feel like a cheap game. Sometimes I've played some of these lower budgeted like tower defense games, and they are, you know, really rough around the edges, to be fair. And this one I think has got a decent amount of polish to it, and it also gets you to really, you know, use your brain occasionally, because you will definitely get your tactics wrong here with this one quite a lot. So you've got to kind of, even though it doesn't feel like there's a load of sectors to get through, it will sometimes take you half a dozen, if not more, attempts to get through a certain sector, because you've placed your defences incorrectly. It does seem a bit daft that you've got all these spaces to put down your defences, but very rarely in the sectors that you play, very rarely indeed, do you feel like you ever get enough money resources to kind of, you know, put multiple defences up. It feels like you've just got clusters, and it would have been nice, and maybe you get this in the later ones, to get like, you know, really massive defences. But as the tower defence game goes, for the price it is, less than £10, I think it's a solid effort. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It's got an addictive gameplay loop. I've definitely enjoyed playing this for 3 or 4 hours, and if you're looking for one, this might be one for you. So thanks very much for joining me, guys. I'll see you on the next review.